Hello, thanks for coming. I'm Debbie from Off Topic with things I didn't plan to learn. Today I'm going to be talking about one of my very all-time favorite subjects, and I'm going to tell you how I got involved in this. Okay, I had been learning all about the culture of Costa Rica, and I had been trying to get immersed in with the community and doing different things. And so one of the things that I did was I joined a group that did a breakfast every Saturday morning with homeless people in the town of Gracia. And the first time that I went to the meeting, there were probably 25 or 30 homeless people and about 6 people in the group that were serving breakfast to them. So I was the only person that spoke English and that didn't speak that much Spanish and that wasn't a Tico. So I was, I kind of stuck out a little bit there, but I wanted to blend in, so I was trying really hard to speak Spanish as much as possible. And so I was trying to do everything that they were doing and understand what was happening. So they were talking about something that they were going to do the next week. And I didn't really understand what they were saying they were going to do. But afterwards with the group, after we had served the breakfast, our little group of the people that coordinated it were saying, okay, we're going to be doing this thing next week, and who can bring a piñata? And I understood that. And I'm like, I can bring a piñata. And they go, Rihanna? And I said, yes. I didn't know what that meant. And so it meant filled. It meant filled. So I agreed to do that, and then they were asking other people for other things that they could bring. And I really didn't understand what this was all for, but anyway, I was going to be ready for next week with the piñata. So the following week, I was at the same place again with the piñata, and along comes a car, and there's nobody there. There's no homeless people there. There's no organizers there or anything, and I thought, uh-oh, I wonder what's going on. So this car pulls up, and this guy goes, hey, Debbie, come on. And so I go over to the car, and they go, we're going over to the place. And I was like, okay. So I jumped in, and we went over to this big factory that was all closed up, but it was an old factory, gigantic inside. When we got to the factory, there was a big giant group of homeless people there, and it was divided up into different sections. They had a section where the homeless could choose clothing. They had clothing and shoes that they could choose from. They had another area where they could take a shower. They had another area where we were going to be playing some games and singing some songs and doing some funny things. They had another area where there was going to be a minister that was going to preach and do some spiritual songs with them. And so they said, okay, Debbie, we want you to do this. We want you to go here, and we want you to cut up all these fruits and do this and make this and do that. And so I went back there and I started preparing some food. And I was talking with the other men and women that were there and learning about the group and stuff. And I found out that this was just like an event that doesn't happen very often, but luckily I got to go to it. And it was going to be for like 5 hours that day. So anyway, everybody was choosing their clothes and their doing all their things. Oh, they also had a place to get a haircut and a shave if they wanted. So they were going around doing all the different things, and I had plenty of time to meet some of the people, and there were two different guys that I got to meet, that I got to speak with for at length, and one of them was named Columbia. I spoke with him, and he told me a little bit about his life and about his daughter. And then another guy, I do not remember his name, but this other guy was a drug addict, I found out, and he was telling me that he just got a key to a room that he was going to get to stay in, and he was really excited, and he showed me the key. So I found out that in the group, most of the group were alcoholics. A couple of the people were mentally ill. There was a woman that was schizophrenic. A couple of the other people were just on the verge of coming down with dementia. Some older adults. And then there were a few that were drug addicts. And so I was learning who was who and what was what and what to look for and so on. So we did the piñata, and the guy named Columbia gave me some of the candy from the piñata. He didn't know that I was the one that brought the piñata. He had no idea, but he was very nice to give it to me. And then after we were finished, all the people left, and except for one. His name was Ricardo. He was still there with us, with the group of the people that promoted it. And so we were sitting at a table talking about how everything went. And we thought it had been a very good day, and then it started to rain. And Ricardo said, "Oh no," he said, this is horrible, because everybody's just getting back to town, and they have to find someplace dry to sleep or to lay down." And he said, one time I was laying in this hole, and all the rain came in, and it was really hard for me to even get out of it. It was kind of like a ditch or something. So he was really upset knowing that it was raining, and I could understand why. So anyway, when it was over, we all left. And the next week, when I went back, an interesting thing happened, because we were all sitting around in the group at the beginning before we served the breakfast, and a person would speak and give a little talk about the Bible and different things, talking about saying, if you are on the street, there's only 3 places you're going to end up. 1 is in the hospital, 2 is in jail, or 3 is dead. And that was pretty much true. I saw that happen over and over. Throughout the 12 years that I lived in Costa Rica, I saw that exact thing happen. There wasn't really much else, unless they stopped living on the street and they were able to get a job, and they were able to find a place to live, and so on. So I decided I was going to try to help people to get off the street. And so, oh my goodness, I thought, I'm going to do whatever I can to try to help people. Maybe I can get some of these people off the street. Well, that was just about an impossible task. But what I did do was every day that I passed through the park where they were usually hanging around, they would see me and people would ask me for different things. They would say, "Can you buy me a belt?" Look, I'm holding my belt up with a bread wrapper, a plastic bread wrapper, or look at my shoes. They look nice on the top, but look at the bottom. There's nothing on the bottom. Or can you get me another shirt? This one's all ripped up. Or my pants don't fit me. Can you get me a pair of pants? These were the kind of things that they asked me for every single day. Besides food, they were always wanting food. So I was using my tutoring money to buy these things for them, and I would take them to the store to get them. And in Costa Rica, there's a lot of stores that are similar to a Goodwill. They're called Americana Ropa, and there's different degrees of Americana Ropa. There's some Americana Ropa that are fancier, and there's some that are not fancy at all. And so we'd go, to one of those, and if they needed a pair of pants, what they would do is they would take the pants and they would put them around their neck, and if they met right here, they would know that that was the size that would fit them. So I had never seen anybody try on a pair of pants that way. They didn't go into a stall and try the pants on. They just put them around their neck. So they would, that's what we would do. We'd go there and get whatever they could. I couldn't get any shoes for them in those stores because they didn't sell shoes. They only sold clothing, and there weren't any used shoes. Some of the people in our group were really, really large size. So what happened was I knew a group of people that rode my bus to go to Alcoholics Anonymous that were gringos. And they were really tall, and they had big feet. And so I asked them, I said, I'm working with this group of people that need shoes, and you guys are really big, and if you have any extra shoes, can you give them to me? Because they need big shoes, and they don't really sell really large shoes in Costa Rica that often. So I got a lot of shoes that way. I also got a lot of clothes that way too. And if somebody passed away, if one of the gringos passed away and it was a man, his wife would donate the clothes and we could use the clothes also. So I got a lot of clothes that way. And plus from my students that I was tutoring, they also gave me a lot of the clothes that they had. And some of the clothes they had were really expensive clothes. So that was quite a treat for them to get those. So I was getting the clothes, I was buying the food that I could get, and then it was getting to the point of being impossible for me to supply all the things that they needed with my own money. I didn't have enough money to do that. So I was thinking, what can I do so that I can raise some money so that I can get these clothes? And I thought, well, why don't they raise the money? Okay, so I was riding on the bus and I was telling this woman about it. And I said I was thinking about making jewelry with them. And because a lady gave me a pair of earrings the other day, and I thought, oh, that'd be something we could do, but I don't know how to make them. And she goes, well, I know how to make earrings and I can show you. So I met her in town the next day and she brought along some supplies and showed me how to do it and gave me a little set of supplies that I could use to teach them. So she taught me a couple of different styles of earrings to make. And then the next day when we had our meeting, I told the group, I said, if anybody wants to learn how to make earrings, I'm going to be making them in the park after this. And if you want to come over. So I thought that the women would all come. But I think on the first day, um, only one woman came, and the rest were really hardcore guys that were like really difficult people. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be interesting. So we made some earrings, and I said, okay, I'm going to do this in the park. I'm going to be in the park at 9 o'clock in the morning tomorrow at this certain table in the park. And so if you want to do it, come here. So the next day, uh, I had room at the table for 3 other people. So 3 people came, and I started to teach them to make earrings. And so this is an example of, if you can see this, this is an example of some of the earrings that we made. So pretty much, 2 of the people came almost all the time. And then 1 or 2 or 3 other people, different people would alternate. And after a while, I had quite a few of the group that came. It was a lot of the guys that were very, very, I would say they were very difficult in some ways. They were kind of like the most dangerous people that came. And so I was a little scared at first, but I told them the rules. I go, there's no drinking here. You cannot bring any alcohol. You have to leave it away from here. We're not going to talk about anything like that. We're not going to say any bad words. And we're going to work on this, and we're not going to fight with each other. We're going to get along. And everybody pretty much got along almost all the time. There were a couple instances. There was one time where one guy picked up a big rock and another guy picked up a big rock, and they were about to smash each other. And I said, that's it, over. And I threw all my stuff in a bag and I ran to the bus stop, and that was the end of that day. But I would take the things to sell at a women's group that I went to called Blooms, which is called Bloom Where You Are Planted. It was a group of women. It could be any kind of a woman that wanted to come. It didn't have to be a gringo. It could be a tico. It could be somebody from any country. And we would meet at different people's homes in the community once a month. And so I would take my jewelry there, and I would set up a little table and sell my earrings. Then we went on to make bracelets and necklaces, and I brought those with me too. And whatever money I got from those things, I would use to buy more beads to make, to use for the people, and then whatever they needed, whatever kinds of things they needed. So I was able to get a lot of food and clothing and jackets and whatever they needed with that money. And I did that for many years. We made thousands and thousands of earrings, and it was a lot of fun. And then I would say that what I didn't plan to learn was that I didn't plan to learn that I was going to become so attached to the homeless people and to really grow to think of them as family. I have hundreds of pictures of them. And whenever I would go to the United States to visit my family, whenever I'd come back, the first thing I would do is get on the bus and go down to where the homeless lived, and down into the park and look to see if they were okay. And whenever I would go to town, I would walk around and look and make sure everybody was all right, and check on them. And that became one of my favorite things in my entire life. And I never planned to learn that. Do you have something that you never expected that you would love, or that you would want to know more about, or that you would want to take hundreds of pictures of? Something that you never dreamt that that was going to be something that became special to you. If you do, please put something in the comments, and please like this video and share it, and please subscribe to my channel and take a look at some other videos. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it, and please stop in again. Thank you.